to the bigger picture, I'm trying to solve the issue for the carbon dioxide for the earth. So if you circle less to find a parking spot, you actually have less pollution to create to the earth. So that's the main of the goal, to actually help the earth as well. And we also helping people to find a solution about it. For example, like if you want to go to a famous restaurant, there's no parking around. You can just park in people's driveway.
Welcome to Ansible Edge, the podcast highlighting visionary leaders driving small tech-focused businesses. We showcase agile innovators converting bold ideas into sustainable growth and operational excellence. Each episode offers actionable insights, inspiring stories, and practical guidance. Join us in exploring the future, learning from successes and challenges, and understanding technology's transformative potential with empathy and curiosity.
Welcome to today's episode. We're honored to have Antony Chang, CEO of XtraSpots, as our guest. Antony is the founder of a tech platform born out of a frustrating $500 towing incident, an experience that inspired him to transform urban parking through technology and community collaboration. Based in New York, Antony leads the charge at XtraSpots, helping individuals and organizations turn underused driveways and lots into shared, bookable parking spots. In this episode, Antony shares the journey from that single moment of frustration to launching XtraSpots in the tri-state area. We explore how the company enables passive income for property owners, reduces city congestion and carbon emissions, and uses AI for smart pricing and demand forecasting. Antony also discusses the roles of churches as community-centered partners, his approach to user experience, and the company's upcoming app relaunch. Join us for an insightful conversation on building marketplaces, solving real-world problems with technology, and how human behavior shapes product design.
Hi, Antony. How's it going? I hope everything's good. Where are you joining from today?
I'm joining from New York, and I'm doing pretty well.
Nice. That's great. Hope to visit there soon. We're joining from Denver. So speaking of New York, I saw that you had a Times Square billboard launch. That must have been really crazy.
Yeah, it was pretty fun. I was there and watching actually on the billboard, and then people walk by and ask me, "Hey, I actually saw this guy somewhere." I'm like, "That's myself."
That's awesome. That's pretty amazing. I can't even imagine having that moment in my life where like it feels when you're in Times Square, it can feel like you're in the center of the universe because like everything's happening, all these billboards, and great to have that kind of publicity.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, so as I was doing a deep dive just into XtraSpots and, kind of the history of the company and what y'all are looking to do, I saw that like the inspiration for this came out of a story to do with a car of yours getting towed or something like that. Is that right?
Yeah, definitely. So when I was in San Francisco, I went to a restaurant, a very like a basic restaurant, like $20, $30 per person. I just went there. Parking is a street parking that I think is long enough. But when I came out after an hour and a half, the car is gone. So I called the number on the floor, and the car was towed. So I went to there, and it cost me $500 to get out from it. I asked the people there why my car is towed. They told me the homeowner of the home said my car is blocking the driveway. However, I don't see any car on the driveway. I'm like, why don't I just pay you some money so my car can be safe and not to worry about how long the distance my car will block your driveway at all. So that's how Extra was born.
It sounds like a really frustrating experience. And I think that we've all run into parking tickets or getting towed or something like that at a time that we didn't really expect that to happen. And I guess I'm curious as to like what was the problem that you felt like you were solving that you were really looking to fix.
Yeah, definitely. So now I'm in New York. I'm in big cities, not just New York, probably like Boston, Los Angeles, even Denver itself in the metropolitan area. People very limited of parking spaces. So what I'm creating is to allow people to park in people's driveway. instead of just a parking garage. Because sometimes when you go to like a train station, subway station, or whatever those are, there's probably not enough places to park in the parking lot. And sometimes the parking lot or street parking has limitation of hours. For example, like street parking, maybe have only 2 hours of parking. You have to watch the clock on how to add money in there to be able to avoid the fine or your car be towed. So was people renting out their own driveway, they can create their own time, like Airbnb, how much they want to charge per hour, and people can reserve the time when the spot is available. And not just parking. If you have EV charging station in your home, you can share your charger to EV car owners so they can charge their car as well. So you name your own price, and then we connect you with the people who need with our app.
That's great.
Yeah, I think that that's a really innovative solution that allows for like a marketplace to determine pretty much everything about it. Right?
Yes.
Yeah, like surplus of empty parking spots around and a lot of people needing parking spaces. And then we also have a growing demand for EV chargers. And I know I've been out where I need a charger, also need a place to park. So it sounds like this is going to be a growing demand in the coming years. Fast forwarding to today, what does your role as CEO look like day to day?
So pretty much I'm forecasting the progress of the app. I getting database from the customer, so I need to adjust what we do on our app. So for example, the most important thing I would say is the UI UX. So we need to make sure that customer is happy about our app, is easy to use, and then manage if there's any glitches or anything bug on the app, and then the user testing. So we all need to make sure the app is running properly. That's the most important part. And we need to add in our spots, and then we need to make sure all the customers are happy, not just the host, but also the user as well.
Gotcha. Yeah, I imagine UX is pretty pivotal because if you're scaling to hundreds, thousands, millions of users, then it's not like people want to just pick up and call a support line. You can't scale one-on-one support. So UX is super important. Getting to the core value proposition in terms of like how XSpots fits with the market, what is the value prop for property owners and then also drivers?
To the bigger picture, I'm trying to solve the issue for the carbon dioxide for the earth. So if you circle less to find a parking spot, you actually have less pollution to create to the earth. So that's the main of the goal, to actually help the earth as well. And we also helping people to find a solution about it. For example, like if you want to go to a famous restaurant, there's no parking around. You can just park in people's driveway. If you want to go to an event, for example, there's a big event in Texas, it's like a South by Southwest. I know a lot of people are having the signage about this parking spot here to rent. Homeowner will know better than we do about the event in their area. So they can adjust the price accordingly as well. Also, we probably want to implement like the calendar about events around, so we can do AI to do on demand, to do like a surge charge for the price depending on the demand.
Yeah, I think that that's obviously really innovative and feels a little bit like it's modeled after ride sharing applications like Uber and Lyft, just being able to look at demand and see what's going on and be able to adjust pricing quickly. I guess my main question would be like, how do you feel like this is different from other parking platforms like Spot Hero or garages?
Sure. Obviously, Star Wars our name. Extra spots means extra. So means the parking spots you cannot access in the daily basis. So parking garage, obviously you just go there, you give them the key or just parking there, you pay them. But we rent out the personal driveways, or like churches parking lots, or like supermarkets parking lots after hour. They're not using it. There's a lot of places like if you can imagine, there's a lot of condos or any apartments. There's really no parking spaces around those areas. But I'm pretty sure there's a lot of like commercial spots around there, after hours, they are empty for the parking lot. Then those spaces are turned to waste. So people can pay them to park overnight. So we actually helping the community to solve the issue about parking as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I love the idea of taking an asset or taking something that has maybe not traditionally been considered an asset, a parking space at a bank, where they're like, hey, we need parking because our customers want to be able to drive to us and they want to be able to park with us. And like it needs to be able to be used during the day. But then at night when the bank is closed, like that's an underutilized asset. And really connecting with businesses, connecting with churches, connecting with these places and selling them on the fact that they have an asset and you're willing to help them sell it.
Definitely, there's some places is kind of interesting. So I found out some places there's like a small deli. They also have like 2 to 3 parking spaces. Like then they close like 3 p.m. or 4 p.m. sometimes. They are paying for the whole rent, including their parking spaces. And who's going to park there after your hour? No one. But what if you rent out for your neighbors, like business nearby, for people to park there and go to their businesses? You're making money and you're helping your neighbor businesses to gain their businesses.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that that's super smart.
With all the different constituents and stakeholders of the app, so there's the drivers and then different businesses that might have parking spaces like churches and banks, and then there's homeowners and private owners of property. Where are you experiencing the greatest ease of growing the app and growing the marketplace that you have?
I think for now the economy is not as good as it before, so everybody needs like extra money for it. App will actually help people to create passive income. I'm pretty sure not just personal, but business should need more income than personal because they have to pay rent, salary, and everything. So it's a win-win for everybody. Like people need spaces because they need to go somewhere else to avoid getting a parking ticket. For example, like if you park in like a fire hydrant in New York, the parking ticket is $115, and if you pay for parking for 2 hours, even we charge a lot, $16, $20. That's about it. Instead of you paying the fine, and they have you pay to the Department of Finance, and maybe got towed or got your car boot. So that's a huge difference.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that anybody who has gotten a parking ticket for not refilling a meter where they get a $50 ticket for something that should have been, $2 can definitely see the cost benefit there. Well, what urban or tech trends do you feel are really shaping XtraSpots business today?
So a lot of people probably don't drive directly to where they work. They probably take a public transportation, but they probably drive to like a subway station or train station nearby their home. Especially right now in New York, there's a congestion price. So we go to Manhattan, there's a added fee each day for people to go into the city just to drive in. And not to mention, plus the parking garage fee. That's like $60 a day just to go to Manhattan and park for the whole day. Well, probably not even a whole day, probably 2 to 3 hours. So that's extra money for them. So a lot of people going to park near the train station or subway station. But obviously, train station might have parking lot in there, but people have to buy a permit to park in there. On top of that, a lot of places nearby are residential areas, so driveway can be parked, and then the homeowner can make money for it if they're not home. The driveway is empty. Like I always make a example for most people. Even have a driveway, homeowners don't really usually park on the driveway. If there's a street parking, they just park on the street, not the driveway. So the driveway is always empty, which is good for the business to go.
Yeah, definitely. So, Anthony, you mentioned churches are a big focus because of the opportunity of their parking lots are typically mostly empty throughout the week. Can you expand on that and how they make great partners?
Yeah, sure. So as I mentioned earlier, XtraSpots is mostly like a community services app and helps the community to be safer and cleaner. So churches are most into almost every corner of each community. There's one. So churches only the parking space lot only be used probably Wednesday night, Sunday morning. Other than that, probably once other time in a week. Most time are empty, but they are near the residential area. So when people park there and walk home, they will feel safe. And also, churches are huge, so they can install EV charging stations for people who doesn't have a parking spot or EV charger at home. They can just leave there and walk home. They pay churches like a donation to the church, which is kind of a cool idea for people to park there, be safe, and churches have people who live there. They will watch the parking lot, and it's also safe as well. So I think church is very good a partner for us.
Yeah, I could definitely see how, again, it's a place of business, or well, churches maybe don't want me to refer to them as a place of business, but it is another third place in the community that has essentially an underutilized asset, and could potentially use some more income streams to be able to do more things for their congregation or the community around them. So I think that that's definitely a great market for you to be targeting. Shifting a little bit, I think you touched on it briefly, but how has around like dynamic pricing, I'm sorry, but how do you feel like AI and AI trends are really touching your business? And how do you see yourself working with AI and automation in the future?
Sure, AI is definitely for all the app right now. They have AI to manage everything. So I think for us, the most important part is the pricing is the most important part. We use AI to trigger how many times that spot is clicked to reserve. So we know that's the hot spot. So when more people click on it, the price goes up. The less people click it, the price stays the same. So that's one of the AI thing we'll definitely use in the pricing. That's very, very important in there.
Yeah, absolutely. It sounds like it's going to be pretty integral for the dynamic pricing and then also just predicting demand so that you can understand if you need to lean in more into a particular area to see if you can get more hosts or anything like that. Does that sound right?
Yeah, it definitely we use like a location for cars to park there. So AI will actually know if the person is near the car to do the checkout as well. So we can use the mapping system as well in there.
Absolutely. That sounds really important for hosts to be able to get the most out of their spots that they're leasing out to people, so that once, even if somebody has paid for a day or paid for the time, once they're gone, like there's no reason not to resell it as long as there's a good window.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. So I think TJ touched on it a little bit ago, or way back at the beginning, but you guys just did your New York City launch, right?
We are in the tri-state area, so for New York, Connecticut, and New Jersey as well.
Okay, that's awesome. Do you have any particular milestones that you are celebrating right now as a team?
So we go to relaunch our app. So do a soft launch on May 1st, and then the real launch will be on June 1st. So all the app will be ready to download on iOS and for Android as well.
That's awesome. That's a huge milestone. I assume that you're in early access for people to do testing right now?
Yes. So we do have friends and family to do testing. Actually, go to our own spots and test our app, see if the payments, see if everything goes well, and we can fix that a little bit as well. But right now, the testing goes well.
Great. That's exciting. That's really exciting. I would imagine that this launch, have you studied the launches of like Uber and Lyft to do similar launching like when they would first come into a city?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, as you mentioned earlier, we have the billboard in Times Square last year. So we do already do a soft launch, but we found a little bit of things, bugs in our app. So we take it down. We spend another about 8 months to rebuild the app. And then this new version of the app will be very powerful as well, including the database. And we use the AWS, so which is very powerful.
Nice. So a lot of auto scaling from the database side to handle as many users as might come into the system.
Yes.
And do you have a waiting list for parking spot holders, hosts to sign up for as you launch? What does that look like?
Yeah, so we have a dynamic sales team who actually reach out to people to be on the beta testing. So we have a long list. Once we are ready to have these people on board, we will sign them one by one up to our app so they can start making their own money.
Awesome. That's exciting. And you said soft launch May 1st.
Yes.
That's great.
So, what metrics are going to be most important to you as you approach the soft launch and then the full launch a month later?
Launch will be mostly users to test our app to see how the app works, if it goes smooth, is anything that need to be fixed, because we can control the behavior of the soft launch user are normal. But if you do a real full launch, you don't know the behavior of each person. Some people are outliers. They try to break the rules and everything. That's more into like customer service or legal issues as well. But in soft launch, the most important part, we need to make sure the app is running smoothly with the good behavior. So bad behavior comes every time. So you have to face it, but that's after full launch.
So the soft launch is focusing on like the happy path of the UX design.
Yes, and then how smooth the customer can use it. So we will target our own people we know as a user to test our app. And the hosts, we have hosts already on our app, so we can test them out. Yeah. So user will be the most people we know in person, but host is just random with the people we sign up already.
Gotcha. That makes sense. So do you feel like you'll start out in May with a good ratio of hosts to users?
Yeah, we definitely have over 300 hosts already right now on our app. So that's a big number in there.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's great. So looking ahead, past your soft launch and through June and beyond, in the next 6 to 12 months, what does success look like for you, and what are you most excited about?
So our goal is to have 1,200 spots in a year. Growth for spots is most important for us because when you have enough spots on the app, people will use your app. That's the main thing. Not really worry about if people are not using it, because if you have enough supply, then you have people to use your app, because when they see like the spots are like very close to each other, once one spot is reserved, they can easily find a replaced spot nearby. So they will be more comfortable to use it. If you don't have enough spots, they want to go to this place, and then there's no place near the 3 to 4 blocks, then where can they park?
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So having enough, like a critical mass of hosts,
Yes,
in order to continue growing and scaling is really critical.
correct.
What do you do to go about finding more hosts and getting them on board?
So we work with a local like nonprofit. So they will do share the mouse for us. We also do the internet commercials and everything. We also have our sales team actually go door to door knock. Of course, if people not home, we just leave them a door hanger, letting them know about our stuff. The cool story is the first 50 hosts is actually knocked out by me. So I go to door, I knock on doors, show people my idea, and see if they're interested in it.
That's great, Anthony. That's exactly the kind of leadership that I would hope for at a company that I worked for, where you're on the ground doing that work, and experiencing exactly what it's like to persuade people to use your app in real time, because then it gives you the authority to understand what the actual user concerns are and what the sales team is concerned about and why the engineers are building what they're building, why designers are designing what they're designing. So That's exactly the kind of CEO that I think a lot of product and devs would want to work for, because you're willing to do that work on the ground for the company and experience it firsthand.
Definitely, yeah. Especially I came from the sales background, so I know how important the demand is for the app. When you build the app, you actually take people's motion into consideration. So I always tell people, like, you do a startup and you found the app. What's the definition of the app? It's turning people's behavior into technology. That's how it works.
That's awesome. From the emotion side, what kind of emotions were you experiencing when you were converting your first 50 hosts?
It's really about people's behavior and neighborhoods. So people really need the money because parking money is not as much. But if people wanted to share that out for the community, I really tackle into the community help. So, for example, a lot of people have friends or family visit them, but there's no parking around. Like, it will just ruin the whole day. What if their neighbor have spots available to for for the neighbors to park for a couple hours and they pay them? That's
That's
help.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's really interesting, because at first I was thinking, the main driver is money, right? You're trying to make money, you have this parking spot, but helping your community and neighborhood. So, your neighbors can benefit, but also you might benefit from your neighbors using the app. That can help drive that kind of referral growth in the app.
Yeah, it's just for example, like, hey, TJ is going to visit Josh, and Josh is living in a house, but his driveway, he parked his car already in there. You're visiting and you're still circling the block because there's no street parking. What if a neighbor of Josh have and the driveway is empty? Can you just go to them? Hey, I can't park in your driveway if you're not using it for an hour or two, and I'll just pay you like $10 for it.
Right.
That will work.
Exactly. So looking even farther out, 3 to 5 years from now, what's the dream and the vision for where you'd like to be?
So definitely have more people to use our app. That's the goal. Increase the revenue for sure. But definitely we're thinking to be like a unicorn, maybe like a next Uber or Airbnb. We try to put more function into it. So for example, like if any businesses want to work with us, we have spots on there and they probably can pay a little bit of ad so we can put a pin on our app for them to be on the app. So people will go there, will have recommendations for restaurants, recommendations for dentists, recommendations for whatever they're looking for in there.
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of expansion opportunities to build additional features once you have a larger user base and things are
Yeah.
really taking off. So just anticipating the next few months ahead, if you can anticipate some challenges that you might run into, or maybe challenges that you're already running into to meet your goal through the year, and you could wave a magic wand and fix that set of challenges, what would it be?
I would say the most important part is the customer service part. So when you just launch it, it's new. So people use it, but probably have a lot of issues. So the whole team have to be on top of every single report we get into our customer service system. So we need to analyze everything and make it through. I would say the first month must be the most critical month because there should be a lot of issue using the app.
Gotcha. So the ability to scale customer support in your first few months and ensure that your initial customers are really happy with the way things are going, you're seeing that as pretty pivotal.
Yeah, I mean, all the business come from referrals. So if you make the customer happy, they'll definitely refer people to you.
That makes sense. And I also imagine it would be a valuable tool for product and design feedback. You're getting customers asking questions about how to use the app, so it can go full circle back into iterations.
Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, like technology is based on the people's behavior and emotion. So when people using the app, that's their behavior and emotion. So if we get data back into that, we will know how most people behave on that button. For example, like, hey, if people click one button, they feel it's not easy to use, that probably a lot of people will have the same issue. So we can circle back detecting to adjust that. That's the motion and behavior. So every single button and every single thing in the app is about behavior and motion of human beings.
Gotcha. Yeah, I really appreciate the insight, and it kind of reminds me of stories that I've heard out of Apple over the years in terms of the UX design that they've cultivated at that company. So, Josh and I are definitely rooting for you and your success over the next few months, and we'll keep an eye out. Hopefully, you'll be able to expand into Denver soon, and we'll be sure to tell all of our friends in New York to check things out. One way we like to wrap up calls is to ask about what inspires you, Antony. So if you can think of it like a book or a podcast or a person that's inspired you recently, does anything come to mind?
I'm a person who really likes to help the environment and Earth. So anything like will help, because I used to sell solar panels myself. So I would say green energy technology in that, nothing really specifically, but anything I can do to help the Earth, to help the old children or grandchildren to have the better living of the Earth is really what my goal is to do. So especially the EV is the future, for solar panels to charging stations to EV car and the battery. I think that's the future of the living. So that really inspires me of what I do. I'm very proud to be part of it to accelerate the EV charging infrastructure in the market.
100%. It's 100% needed, and hopefully all of our children and grandchildren and next generations can look back at this time and understand that we were able to do something to turn things around. So thanks again, Antony.
Sounds good. Thank you.